All right, it's a few minutes after, so I'll go ahead and get started. Hi, Christelle. I'm going to do a quick intro, and then I'm going to hand it over to you and Sibi.
Okay, great.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Michaela McShane, and it is my privilege to welcome you to the Startup NASA Feature Series. We're looking forward to hearing from HealieTech, and we hope you enjoy the presentation. Before we get started, I'd like to point out that your microphones will be muted throughout this presentation, so if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and we'll answer them during the Q&A session at the end. This monthly series provides an opportunity for NASA technology-inspired startup companies to share their stories, including how they got involved with NASA and where they are currently in the development of their new product or service. NASA's Technology Transfer Program ensures that innovations developed for exploration and discovery are broadly available to the public, and our Tech Transfer Expansion Program augments that mission to include a focus on entrepreneurial innovation and strategic partnerships to accelerate commercialization. We invite you to visit the NASA Technology Transfer website for more information on available licensing opportunities and other initiatives, and be sure to stay tuned at the end of the presentation for registration information on upcoming Startup NASA Feature Series events. Thank you again for joining us today. So it is my pleasure to introduce today's speakers, the co-founders of HealieTech, Dr. Christelle Bastida and Sibi Ravi Shanti. HealieTech was formed in the FedTech Startup Studio, a program that connects ambitious entrepreneurs with federal government technologies. FedTech introduced the co-founders to a unique self-healing materials patent from NASA. Sibi and Dr. Bastida found a product market fit for the technology and applied for a license from NASA, which was recently awarded. Dr. Christelle Bastida, the CEO of HealieTech, is a business strategy-minded leader, a blending-edge technology innovator, and a scientist. Dr. Bastida studied the effects of stress on motivated behaviors and neural networks during puberty as part of her doctoral neuroscience studies. She has delved into many scientific and medical fields since. Dr. Bastida has pushed whole fields forward, including neuroscience, cancer medicine, patient-reported outcomes, reconstructive surgery, community health, orthopedics, mobile health, and material science. Dr. Bastida sees the connection and opportunities across scientific and business fields. As such, she, along with Sibi Shanti Ravi, has launched a sustainable tech startup in the defense and space industries. Dr. Bastida is also a modern-day Renaissance woman. She loves art and music and business and academia, and she lives to build community. Dr. Bastida finds humor in most situations and constructs evidence-based, thoughtful, novel solutions to everyday occurrences, research questions, and business strategy challenges alike. Sibi Ravi Shanti is a Bachelor of Business Administration graduate of the Red McCombs School of Business from the University of Texas at Austin. Upon graduation, Sibi joined Accenture as a consulting analyst in Dallas, Texas. Sibi has developed his technical skills and business acumen through his experience at Accenture. After a year, Sibi was recognized for his efforts and was promoted to senior consulting analyst. Sibi has completed his first year of his MBA in entrepreneurship and corporate strategy from Rice University in Houston, Texas, and has 1 year remaining. Sibi currently works at Habian as a management consultant in the Dallas area, and Sibi is also the COO and co-founder of next generation material startup called HealieTech. And with that, I'd like to welcome Dr. Bastida and Sibi to share their story.
Thank you for the introduction, Michaela. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen real quick.
Sounds good.
So I will pass it on to Dr. Bastida. She will be starting us off today. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks so much for the great introduction, and thank you, Sibi. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready. You ready?
Yep. Okay.
Let's do it.
So, hi everyone. My name is Dr. Christelle Bastida. Today, my co-founder Sibi Ravi and I are delighted to discuss our company HealieTech with you. So before we get into the business specifics, I do want to introduce our team. And so I'm Dr. Christelle Bastida. I earned my doctorate in neuroscience in 2011. I've since conducted research in a variety of fields, including cancer medicine, reconstructive surgery, patient-reported outcomes, community health, mobile health, sustainability, and now material science. I have expertise in strategy and innovation, as well as business. My co-founder is Sibi Ravi Shanti, who you guys have met. He shares my interest in sustainability and innovation and brings a diverse skill set to the table, including strategy and business management, global business, And he's also consulted for a variety of businesses using his expertise in operations strategy. We both went to UT Austin, and we both now are in Rice's MBA program. We are advised by many professionals that are experts in their respective fields, including NASA chemist and project manager Tracy Gibson, chemist and inventor of the technology we're discussing today, Mr. Jolly. Sorry, I feel like I need to speak to everyone who's been helping us along this journey. So he is a recently retired NASA chemist, Scott Jolly, business professor and advisor, Dr. Oliver Schlake, veteran business expert and consultant, Bernie Stone, business development professional, Rick Harlow, and Halliburton Labs material scientist, Dr. Karthik Sivaraman. And let's see, so let's talk about the organizations that have helped us along the way. I completed a fellowship in sustainability and innovation at UNYC, and have taken part in Harvard's startup workshops and strategy science annual conference. I also took part in Rice University's Lilly Launchpad to learn about founding startups, which was a great experience for me as well. We launched our startup as part of FedTech's Startup Studio, where we were able to access the technology that we're discussing today. Thank you, FedTech. And they walked us through the launch process with access to world-class advisors, including the NASA project managers, advisors, and tech transfer experts that I mentioned above. And we were also able to have a free flow of communication as we launched, which was really important to us because it helped our understanding of the technology as well as the applications that we could use it for. So let's see, we have also been showcased at the ION in Houston. I took part in many different pitch contests as well as CIBI. We won the golden ticket to Capital Factory, and so we have access to their resources as well. We consult with Baytech Works and Halliburton Labs on business development and got great feedback from Softtech on our marketing. And we are also in discussions on lab space and collaborative efforts with Houston Baptist University. And I will be participating in Y Combinator's live online startup school this July. So we've been very, very busy, both before and during our launch and after. So next slide, please. And so when we first took part in FedTech's Startup Studio, our imaginations ran wild, right? Because first, when I saw that there was self-healing materials, I was just really excited and just started to dream, right? And so my first thought was, what if we could make an Iron Man suit? Or what if we could make a spacesuit? What if the prosthetics that people use, which now have sensors in them where they can feel and they can move as well, what if we covered it with a self-healing skin? How cool would that be? One of Sibby's favorite projects, so we each have our pet projects that we'd like to get into, but one of his favorite projects is cell phones because the screens crack all the time, and what if we could self-heal those as well? So, and pipeline liners as well as pipelines, we all know that there are numerous cracks and oil leaks and those kinds of things. And what if we could use this really great sustainability technology to address that issue as well? So as part of FedTech Startup Studio, we did customer interviews with everybody in all of these industries, except for the Iron Man suit. I don't think we quite got to that. But yeah, so we were just so excited about this technology. And it just sounds very futuristic, doesn't it? It sounds like something that is science fiction and definitely could not be done anytime in the near future. And what's really neat is that NASA's already done this. NASA has been doing this. And it's just really exciting technology that sometimes even when we're pitching, people think that this is not a true technology that that is already here today. But what's interesting though, once we started dreaming about all of these applications, I went onto the patent site for NASA and got to dream some more. I didn't sleep for several days because there's so much awesome technology that's available that you wouldn't even dream that is real, that's already in lab. And usually at technology readiness level 4 or so, but then unfortunately isn't developed further despite the critical needs that this technology is developed to address. So, and that's something that we're going to talk about in our business plan, and Sibi will get into with you guys, but this is where we started to realize that there was a huge opportunity here. And so our technology, our company is HealieTech. Our technology is a self-healing multi-application protective skin. And the reason that this is important, we have to go back to why this is developed to begin with, right? So equipment in hostile environments, and remember this was developed by NASA, equipment in hostile environments often sustains damage. So you can see the frayed wire there. This is often an issue because if something like this happens with a rocket, first of all, functionality is affected. Second, then they need to stop what they're doing, go inside of the rocket and look at miles of wiring and try to see where the issue lies. And that's difficult as well. So as you can see, like damaged equipment, malfunctions, these result in injury, death, and loss of high-value assets. And yes, we're talking about high-value assets as in equipment, but also people. And maintenance costs are very high. You guys probably know the cost of maintaining even the International Space Station is about $2 billion per year. And the cost of replacing equipment is even higher, I'm sure. And the thing with loss of life is that that's something that can't be undone. So next slide, please. And NASA knows this better than anybody else because there are a variety of wiring insulation issues or equipment damage issues that have stopped functionality of equipment that was vital to a mission or to somebody's life continuing. And this is something that NASA takes very, very seriously, and we do too. Next slide, please. So we are developing NASA's self-healing multi-application protective skin. And in doing so, we're wanting to not just commercialize this, and we will push this into the commercial space, but we would be remiss if we did not also provide this technology to NASA, because after all, this was designed, developed, researched. There was a lot of time and money that went into this because there's a critical need there in NASA, as well as the Department of Defense and the Department of Energy. So our plan is to definitely provide this technology to them, first and foremost. So the way the technology works, and not to teach NASA technology to NASA, I would never be foolish enough to do that. But just in a general sense, basically this technology is self-healing materials that can be used inside of wiring. So it's a wiring insulation layer inside of wires. And also flat surface applications are also available. So basically, if you look on the left, if an area, let's say we're looking at wiring, is cracked, these microcapsules filled with a healing agent go to the area, they flow to the area of the crack without human intervention. They release the healing agent that they're filled with, and then they sort of float off. So next slide, please. So here we can see a razor test, and I'm thinking this is the flat surface laminate that we're looking at. Basically what they do is they have the material and they slice it with a razor to see how quickly it can heal. So, so they slice the material, and 2.5 seconds later at 10x magnification, which isn't, I mean, it's not really that magnified. You can see this happening. So you can see microcapsules flow to the area of damage and release the contents. And then 2.5 hours later, you can see that the area is healed and those microcapsules are sort of floating away from the area of damage, empty because they've already released the healing agent. And so the way that I visualize this and the way that I explain it is that it heals like skin. So it's not something where you have to do a whole lot of intervening or anything like that. Like say, for example, you get a cut on your skin, you might clean it or put a Band-Aid, and then you don't really think about it anymore. It just, you continue with your day and eventually it heals up on its own. And this is how this technology works, which is what makes it really useful to NASA and to all of the applications that we're going to discuss. Next slide, please. And this is just more details about the license that we have with NASA. Right now, we are using an R&D license, which we can quickly switch over to a commercial license when we're ready to sell product. And like we said, we have gotten to work very, very closely with Dr. Scott Jolly, the inventor of this technology, and he's agreed to consult with us. And while we do have the protocol, he's more than happy to show us how to make this in lab. So having that resource is really important to us. Dr. Tracy Gibson also is invaluable. We were able to, he was so open and able to discuss with us different applications and specifications regarding the technology that were important, especially during our customer interviews, because then we could sort of bounce ideas off of him, and he was wonderful. We also worked very closely with NASA's KSC Tech Transfer Office, and everybody there was very, very helpful. The process was quick and easy and clear, and so we really, really appreciate that as well. Next slide, please. And so now we're going to get more into the business specifics and the market opportunities, and so I'll hand it over to Sibi.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Prestita, for explaining how amazing and unique our technology is. I just want to, again, kind of highlight this. What we were working with is something that I personally have never seen before. And it's always been a childhood dream of mine to work with NASA and see things like this. So having it come to fruition and creating a business opportunity out of this has been nothing short of phenomenal. And again, kind of just speaking to this relationship that we have with NASA, it has been phenomenal so far, and we don't intend on stopping. And like Dr. Bastida said, and even Michaela said, within the tech transfer office, there's a lot of great technology out there that we plan on bringing in and utilizing for our business. So my portion here is going to be discussing a lot more of the business side of things. We can have a great technology, but it's not going anywhere unless we also have a great business plan. So going forward, kind of explaining the market dynamics, our go-to-market plan, and kind of how we're going to be running our business. So first thing is the wiring market. So this is, one of our core products, which is the self-healing wiring insulation. The global wiring market, which is our total addressable market, is landed about $240 billion in value till date. It is a phenomenally big market, and many companies and industries are very dependent on wiring and wiring insulation. And looking at kind of the lower level, which is our addressable market, we're looking at $100 billion of value for HealieTech that we could potentially capture within wiring for aerospace and defense, oil and gas, and IT and telecommunications. Ultimately, these are all industries that use a ton of wires and don't have the time, nor the resources, or they spend lots of time and money on replacing their wires, and we think we can save a lot of that for them. And so kind of looking at this opportunity, we believe that we can capture about 75% of that market and really provide value to everybody that's involved there. And so kind of on the second half, our second product here is more on the surfaces and coating side. So looking at the US chemicals, coating, and plastics market, it is even bigger than the wire market, which is $1.12 trillion. Now, where HealieTech's laminate and where this particular multi-application skin can be involved, we find that there are particular relevant chemical and coating applications, which are about $211 billion in value. And where HealieTech sits within that, we believe that we can capture at least 30% of the opportunity here, given that 30% of the market is focused on high quality product, and our multi-application self-healing technology is definitely going to be on that higher end, higher product, higher quality. So we're going to be capturing that top 30% of this market. So now moving forward into kind of our go-to-market, our development plan here, how are we going to get this out? So this is our space readiness development plan. How are we going to get this to be ready for NASA so that they can put it into their satellites, or even for other commercial companies like SpaceX or other drone companies that utilize this kind of high-grade wiring? So first thing we need to do is some off-gassing tests. Second, we're going to focus on flammability and arc tracking tests, and hopefully these two tests will get us to a technology readiness level of 7. From there, we need to do a product field test where we put it into a product and actually make sure that it's working so we can confirm the readiness level of 7. And then finally, we're going to be launching it, and more than just into the market, we're going to be launching it into space. So we are ready to make this happen. This has been, so far, with our relationships that we're trying to build, we're still kind of on phase 1. We're figuring out how we're going to do the off-gassing tests with HBU this summer. And, we're establishing those relationships and we're getting through that. But ultimately, this is our basic process for space readiness. And while the specific tests might change here and there, ultimately, we're going to reiterate this 4-phase process for any new technology that we introduce within HealieTech. So if we want to bring in anti-corrosive materials, we're going to be doing the same kind of 4-step process where we focus our first 12 months on testing, the next 12 months on field testing, and then after that, product launching. So then going into our go-to-market plan, how do we take from the point where we've developed our product and actually give it back and sell it to the commercial market or even the private market with NASA and the Department of Defense? So our go-to-market plan is very much like Intel. We've all heard the words Intel Inside. We've all seen that ad. And every time we buy a computer with Intel, we feel pretty happy. And so we want to instill that same happiness, that same level of quality and comfort with all of the end users of HealieTech wire by inspiring a HealieTech Inside branding. So as an ingredient brand, what we want to do is we want to sell through existing wiring manufacturers like DuPont, Gore, and Nortech. We're attempting to establish those relationships now as we get into the product development phase so that we can sell through these wiring manufacturers back to the commercial and private markets. And again, I just want to reemphasize what Dr. Bastida had emphasized earlier, in that we would be remiss to not provide this value back to the private market that gave us the opportunity to do this. So NASA, the Department of Defense, and the Department of Energy will be getting, exclusive, maybe not exclusive, but access definitely to our technology. And we will be focused on providing value to that sector as much as we are the commercial sector. So now moving forward, once we do go to market with our first product, then what's next, right? So HealieTech, we're not stopping at the idea of just self-healing materials or even just self-healing wiring. We want to grow much further beyond that. So first, we have our market growth, which is where we identify new markets that self-healing wiring can be deployed. Now, this is like drone wiring, cable installations, or even data center wiring. Anything that you can think of that wiring can be used for, we want to start tapping those markets and providing our high-quality product to them. The second innovation lens is going to be within product. So we're going to be wanting to create new products that utilize our underlying technology in a novel way across the markets that we touch. So one example here would be something that Dr. Bastida brought up earlier, which is my favorite pet project, like self-healing phone screens. This would be a product growth that we would pursue in the short future, and something that we would really, really want to be pursuing over time, just to make sure that we're not limiting ourselves to one market, not one product, but we're expanding in those two areas. And finally, kind of, again, reiterating on our relationship with NASA, the kind of future of HealieTech and what we want to do beyond self-healing materials, we want to grow with our technology as well. We want to increase the amount of patents that we have. We want to make sure that we're licensing more and we're providing more innovation to the world so that we can push the bounds of what is available out there. I mean, yesterday we had regular wiring, and today I never have to buy an iPhone wire again because as I crack it, it heals itself. So just like that, we want to create new technological innovations throughout a variety of industries so that we can bring anti-corrosive materials to cars or self-healing metals to rods, anything like that. But ultimately, that's kind of our 3-step plan. So kind of focusing on more of those first 2 steps, a little bit more short term, we got our market and product growth opportunities. And again, this is just for you guys to visualize the ideas and the neurons that are firing in our heads on all the possibilities with self-healing materials. So at the top, we've got drones. Self-healing wiring in drones is definitely a market that we've validated and interviewed many people, and we see a lot of immense value there. Oil and gas pipeline liners is another great technology application that we've had interviews for, and there might be a few barriers to entry, but as we get wiring out there, we'll definitely be able to do some pressure testing and move towards oil and gas. And similarly, for all the other industries and that we think of, there's going to be a process that we follow with our development, and we're going to launch into all of these things through product and market growth. So now, kind of zoning back into HealieTech, what we're focused on right now and where we're headed at the moment. HealieTech is obviously it's Q2 2022, so we're a little bit through the year and we're just about to reach halfway. We had a few accomplishments that we wanted to get done by now, which are on the way if not done. First one was getting the patent license accepted, which is fully complete. Thank you, NASA, so much for believing in our company and our idea to provide us that license. We will definitely do the most with it and will not disappoint. The second thing that we wanted to do is set up a lab partnership and make sure that we could actually prototype and test our product to that technology readiness level of 7. So we've had some phenomenal conversations with a few people over at Houston Baptist University this past week, and we're going to be continuing those conversations this week and next week to come up with a program that we can instill this summer within their labs that allows us to prototype and test. So this is underway. It's been some great progress, and all the organizations that have supported us so far have been instrumental in getting us to this point. And now, hopefully, all these organizations will continue to support us as we go forward in this journey. We're going to be building our sample this summer. We're going to be focusing on corporate and testing partnerships, as well as setting up our supply chain with DuPont and our manufacturing partners. Another big part of our focus this year is going to be getting $2 million in funding from a variety of sources so that we can support our growth all the way to the point where we can sell HealieTech product and sell our self-healing wiring systems through our partners. And ultimately, by the beginning of next year, we want to be able to start selling, become revenue generating, and provide value back to all of our stakeholders and investors. So kind of, again, zoning in on that $2 million. Why do we need $2 million? What are we going to spend that money on? So in the first year, a lot of the money and major focus is going to be on product development and testing. $1 million is what we have budgeted right now up until the point of Q1 2023, where we can actually start selling our product. We have $500,000 right now hiring leaders, chief product officer, chief revenue officer. These are really important positions that we are looking for and actively, gaining relationships so that we can have more value driving individuals within our company that can work for us and help us. And then the other two areas, about $500,000 in supply chain and sales and customer relationship development. I think this is really more of a formality of hiring more people within the supply chain and logistics department, as well as hiring some people in the sales department to enable that customer relationship and allow us to scale at the level that we want to be selling when we do sell at the beginning of Q1 2023. So ultimately, this $2 million that we're trying to raise, the first $500,000 to $1 million is going to get us through that prototyping and product development. And then beyond that, we're going to be spending the rest of the money on setting ourselves up for success when we do get to the point of selling our product. So kind of just wrapping things up here, this is the focus on our risk mitigation. So as an investor, as anybody honestly following HealieTech, how come we haven't, dropped the ball? What are we doing to make sure that we're not dropping the ball? What are we making sure? Oh my gosh, sorry. Gosh, do you guys see this? Okay. Well, let me fix that real quick.
There you go.
Okay, so this is our risk mitigation strategy. So ultimately, the first thing, and again, kind of reiterating what Dr. Bastida said earlier, these technologies have been developed due to a critical need by NASA in that private area. So that need, that demand is available. The technology has already been developed and tested in labs, so we do know that it works. We just need to make sure that it works at scale. The properties of this technology and the results of previous testing are available to us. We have been living in those documents over the past month or two. We will, the tech can be applied to nearly every type of electronic equipment in many other industries. So even if wiring may not work out up front, we have 30 other applications that we can consider going to market with and lowering our barrier to entry with. So the next one, we will continue to pull NASA, DoD, and DOE patents that have built-in customers and high opportunity for expansion into wider commercial use, thereby distributing our risk. And like we said, that market, product, and technology growth, these are all going to be a part of diversifying our risk in the different markets and different technologies that we implement. Next, our strong team of advisors, which, again, I want to thank you all for supporting us through the process. And thank you, Dr. Bastida, for outlining all of them. But our strong team advisors contribute business development, NASA expertise, Department of Defense connections, Department of Energy expertise, and material science expertise to our already existing strengths. So, Dr. Bastida and I know that we're obviously clearly very intelligent and capable individuals, but we couldn't do everything without all the great people supporting us. And, all of the ideas that we have, we're going to need that support system. And again, just want to thank all of these people for supporting us so far and hopefully supporting us as we keep growing. And then finally, our close working relationship with NASA and continuing that commercialization strategy with them, as well as our leadership breadth of scientific experience and business acumen, make us the ideal team to push this, as well as many other bleeding edge technologies forward. I mean, as we go through this process, we are becoming experts in commercializing this kind of innovative technology and bringing them to a variety of markets. And we want to continue to utilize our expertise and grow this expertise by bringing in new technologies and expanding them to a variety of markets. So, kind of in conclusion, looking at our technology and our business, our core values are that we prevent loss of life. That's a huge one. And then we also enhance equipment functionality and durability. Major impacts is that we lower those maintenance replacement costs and absolutely decrease environmental damage. As somebody who, wants the world to be around for a long, long time and has a great interest in sustainability, this is very important to me as well as our business, that we do support that environmental benefit as we go forward. And finally, an insane opportunity with an iterative blue ocean of novel applications for self-healing materials as well as other DoD or NASA technology. And so thank you guys all for listening. This is just Dr. Bastida and I's contact information. Feel free to visit our website at HealieTech.com. We've got a lot of great information there. We will be updating, we do update that website about every week, every 2 weeks with everything that we're doing. So feel free to visit, definitely visit. Come check us out on LinkedIn as well. And feel free to email either of us. It's pretty simple. She's the CEO, I'm the COO. Just throw at HealieTech.com after that, and you will find our email. So again, thank you guys. And I guess we're open for a Q&A. Yeah.